Welcome, focused learners. Okay, let's jump right into this incredibly profound explainer on finding true peace in our hectic modern world. Today we're diving deep into the foundational teachings of Buddhism, specifically looking through the lens of the Dalai Lama. We're going to unpack a structured, step-by-step path to fundamentally rewiring how your mind works.
I want to start off by asking you to think about a really wild modern paradox. We live in the 21st century, right? We have unprecedented technological advancement, mind-blowing scientific discovery, and honestly vast material wealth. Yet, despite having the literal world at our fingertips, things like violence, anxiety, and internal misery, they just seem to be at an all-time high. Why is it that people with immense money, comfort, and power so often end up being incredibly insecure, jealous, and absolutely terrified of losing what they have?
Well, the answer brings us right to the core of the Dalai Lama's text, Spiritual Growth. His diagnosis is crystal clear. He says the root of our modern misery isn't a lack of resources, and it's definitely not a lack of technical knowledge. The mess we find ourselves in is caused by what he calls an unruly mind. It's like a wild animal up there, and until we address our internal state, no amount of external wealth is ever going to cure our suffering.
So, here is our map to enlightenment for today. 1. The modern paradox. 2. Stage 1. Broadening horizons. 3. Stage 2. Breaking the cycle. 4. Stage 3. Radical compassion. And 5. The ultimate mind shift.
The modern paradox: external wealth versus internal misery. As we touched on, trying to solve our internal discomfort with external stuff, like buying a new car or chasing status, just builds a taller tower for us to fall from. And that brings us to the real antagonists of our story, the three poisons that infect the mind and keep us trapped in suffering. First, there's desire, which makes us cling desperately to temporary pleasures like they're going to last forever. Then, hatred, which makes us fiercely push away anything we find unpleasant. And finally, ignorance. This is the big one. It's our fundamental misunderstanding of reality. These poisons are the actual diseases of the unruly mind.
The Dalai Lama puts it perfectly, saying, "This mess is not caused by insufficient technical knowledge, nor by insufficient resources, but by an unruly mind." We literally cannot invent or buy our way out of this trap. A better smartphone isn't the solution. What we need is a complete, deliberate inner transformation. We have to tame the mind. But, how exactly do we do that?
The crucial point here is that spiritual growth happens progressively. You don't just wake up enlightened one Tuesday. We're going to follow a brilliant ancient framework by the Buddhist master Atisha, who broke it down into 3 levels of capacity. Step 1 is small capacity, Step 2 is medium capacity, and Step 3 is great capacity. Let's walk through these steps right now to see how you can master your own mind.
2. Stage 1. Broadening horizons, shifting focus to the long term.
This is that small capacity stage, and the goal is remarkably simple, but let's be real, incredibly difficult for us modern humans. We have to stop obsessing over immediate, short-term gratification. Think about the basic karmic reality. We are born, we generate karma through our daily thoughts and actions, and then eventually, we die. Death is absolutely certain, but the timing? Completely unknown. Recognizing this deeply forces us to prioritize our long-term spiritual health over, say, that petty argument you had at the grocery store today. It completely shifts your perspective.
But just recognizing this isn't quite enough. The Dalai Lama uses this classic, amazing metaphor. Think of the Buddha as a doctor. His teachings are the medicine, and you are the patient suffering from those 3 poisons we talked about. But a patient doesn't get better just by leaving their medicine sitting on the nightstand, right? You must actively swallow it. You have to actually put these teachings into practice through daily analysis and meditation.
3. Stage 2. Breaking the cycle, escaping the loop of suffering.
Once we've mastered looking beyond just today, we enter the medium capacity. This is where we realize that just aiming for a slightly better tomorrow still isn't enough. We want out of this exhausting cycle of stress entirely. To get that liberation, we need to understand dependent origination. I know, it sounds super academic, but it just means deep interconnectedness. Nothing, not a tree, not your feelings, not your anxiety, exists entirely on its own. Everything arises from a vast, complex web of causes and conditions.
And that idea of interconnectedness builds directly into the concept of selflessness. Because everything is connected, the idea that you have this permanent, totally isolated, independent self, or ego, it's an illusion. It's wild, but when we fiercely protect this illusory self, that's exactly what breeds our anxiety, our pride, and our hatred. Realizing selflessness is the ultimate antidote to that core ignorance we mentioned earlier.
4. Stage 3, radical compassion, the bodhisattva ideal. Now we've arrived at the highest level of practice, the great capacity. This is where the whole spiritual journey takes a massive pivot. It's no longer just about saving yourself, it is about saving everyone else. Here is the core secret of the entire text. Cherishing yourself exclusively, it literally just makes you miserable. It leads straight to fear and defensive hatred. But exchanging that self-cherishing for other cherishing leads to genuine joy and true liberation. The incredible irony here is that the absolute fastest route to your own happiness is to completely dedicate yourself to the happiness of others.
So, how on earth do we actually do this? Well, there are very specific practical steps to train the mind. First, realize that every single person wants happiness just as desperately as you do. Second, recognize how utterly dependent you are on the kindness of others for your food, your shelter, everything. This builds equanimity, which is a state where you view all beings, even that coworker you can't stand, with the same deep, boundless affection a mother has for her only child.
5. The ultimate mind shift. Wisdom meets altruism.
Ultimately, true enlightenment isn't just about memorizing facts. It's this profound fusion. It happens when the sharp, penetrating wisdom of selflessness meets the boundless, active energy of radical compassion. When those two combine, the unruly mind is finally tamed. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If we all desperately want happiness, why do we stubbornly hold on to the very self-cherishing that makes us miserable? I really encourage you to examine your own mind today. Notice when you cling to your ego, and try just for a moment to apply the medicine of compassion instead.
Thank you so much for joining me on this profound journey through the mind. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to In 8 Minutes and never miss what matters. Keep learning, keep focusing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.